Good morning. Welcome back to Political Science with Charushil. Today is our second video for CUET Political Science preparation undergrad level. In the previous video, we discussed nation building and its problem. The first problem being integration of princely states to form a consolidated Indian territory. All right, a nation. Now today we are going to discuss with the second problem of nation building, which was the problem of language. What should be our official language? What were the political conflicts surrounding the language problem? Let's start. It's 1947, and the biggest challenge for India post-independence was what? Preservation and consolidation of India's unity. Now, the major problem which India was facing during that time was the language problem. The language problem had two forms to it. The first part was dispute over official language of India. What should be the link language, the official language of India? And second, linguistic reorganization of states. Now this video, which is video number 2, is only going to deal with official language of India. And video 3 will deal with linguistic reorganization. Let's see what Jawaharlal Nehru had to say. In 1947, it was clear to Nehru that first things must come first, and the first thing is the security and stability of India. We have to create a consolidated nation. There has to be unity and diversity. Look at what he said 4 years after, in 1951. We have to remember always that India is a country with variety of cultures, habits, customs, and ways of living. It is very necessary, I think, for all of us to remember that this wonderful country of ours has infinite variety, and there is absolutely no reason why we should try to regiment it after a single pattern. Indeed, that is ultimately impossible. But India is far greater, far richer, and more varied than any part of it. We have to develop an outlook which embraces all this variety and considers it our very own. So there has to be unity in diversity. This is what he's trying to tell us. Again, 1 year after, he said, the most important factor, the overriding factor, is the unity of India. Then look at what he says in 1957. The biggest task of all is not only the economic development of India as a whole, but even more so the psychological and the emotional integration of people of India. And one thing which could psychologically and emotionally bind people together was the language. Henceforth, we are discussing the language problem in this video. It is because of all these factors that many theorists, over here I have Bipin Chandra, Aditya Mukherjee and Mridula Mukherjee, who in their famous book India Since Independence said that the differences in language, culture, religion and ethnicity were to be seen not as obstacles to overcome, all right, not as antithetical to national consolidation, but as positive features that were sources of strength for an emerging nationhood. So they feel that during that time it was realized that if we focus on all these different ethnicities, religions, languages, regions, okay, and we try to bind them together, the concept of unity of diversity will be preserved and we will have a strong nation. The official language debate. Now the main contention before us is what? What should be India's official language or link language? How should the central government carry on with its work? How should it interact or maintain contact with the other state governments? What should be the language? What should be the medium of communication? There were two main contenders, which is English and Hindi. Now there were opponents to English. Let's see what Mahatma Gandhi said in 1920s. English is a language of international commerce. It is the language of diplomacy. It contains many a rich literary treasure, and it gives us an introduction to Western thought and culture. But English occupied in India an unnatural place due to our unequal relations with the Englishmen. They were colonizers. English has sapped the energy of the nation, which is India. It has estranged Indians from the masses. The sooner, therefore, educated India shakes itself free from the hypnotic spell of the foreign medium, which is English, the better it would be for them and the people. So Mahatma Gandhi did believe that English is a world language, and it would therefore be accorded a place as a second optional language in India. But he knew that it usurps a place which does not belong to it. Okay, so we have to get rid of it, and even if we keep it, it should be a second optional language. Let's see what Nehru said. So in an article, in a 1937 article called The Question of Language, and even while the Constituent Assembly debates were going on, he stated in 1937, our great provisional languages are ancient languages with a rich inheritance, each spoken by millions of people, each tied up with the life and culture and ideas of the masses as well as of upper classes. It is axiomatic that the masses can only grow educationally and culturally through the medium of their own language. Therefore, it is inevitable that we lay stress on the provisional language and carry on most of our work through them. So provisional languages are your regional languages. He promoted them. Our system of education and public work must therefore be based on provincial languages. We should carry on our own governmental work and our day-to-day work through our provincial languages, our mother tongues. This is what he's trying to tell us. Continuing with the official language debate. In the year 1928, the Motilal Nehru report came out. It said what? It proposed that Hindustani, which is a combination of Hindi and Urdu, should be the common language of India. And this language could be written in two scripts, Devanagari or Urdu script. And English was to continue temporarily as the official language. Okay. Both Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru agreed that Hindustani in both scripts should be used. But what happened after partition, after 1947? Pakistan adopted Urdu as the symbol of Muslim identity. And therefore what happened? The support for Hindustani in India went down. And the demand for Hindi in Devanagari script grew in India. There was a demand to make Hindi India's official language. So the Congress Legislative Party accepted that Hindi will be the official language, but not the national language. Okay, so Nehru had a balanced approach to this entire problem. He believed that English should continue for global usefulness and there should be a gradual transition to Hindi and not abrupt. Now, there was fear in South India and other non-Hindi speaking areas of India. The non-Hindi speaking regions feared that Hindi's dominance would lead to political and cultural domination, social and economic inequality by Hindi speaking regions, and this would disadvantage the South Indians or the North Hindi speaking areas of India in terms of education, government jobs, competitive exams, administration and economic opportunities. In the year 1950, the Indian Constitution comes out on 26th Jan. What happens in the Constitution? Hindi in Devanagari script would be the official language of the Union, official language, not national. International numerals would be used. Third, English would continue for official purposes till 1965. So Hindi was to be introduced in a phased manner, in a gradual manner. After 1965, it would become the sole official language of India. However, Parliament would have the power to provide for the use of English for specified purposes even after 1965. So after 1965, the Parliament can decide whether it wants to continue with English for other official purposes or not. Now, the Constitution laid upon the government the duty to promote and spread Hindi and to provide for the appointment of a commission and a joint parliamentary committee to review the progress in this respect. The state legislatures were to decide the matter of official language at the state level, though the official language of the Union would serve as the language of communication between the states and the center and among states, which is Hindi in Devanagari script. Moving on. Languages in the Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution of 1950 mentions how many official languages? 14 official languages in its 8th schedule. What were these 14 languages? They were Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Kashmiri, Malayalam, Marathi, Odia, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu and Urdu. Now what is the purpose of the 8th schedule? It was to recognize major Indian languages, promote their development, allow their usage in examinations, literature, administration, and to support linguistic and cultural diversity in India. Now, later on, the number of languages increased from 14 to 22. How and when? So, in 1967, Sindhi was added. In 1992, Konkani, Manipuri, Nepali were added. And in the year 2003, Bodo, Dogri, Maithili, Santhali were added. Alright. The 1961 census listed around 1549 languages as mother tongues. I already told you there were more than 1000 mother tongues in India. Moving on. So far, we have discussed the Motilal Nehru report of 1928 and the Indian Constitution of 1950. Now, what happened in 1955? The Official Language Commission was set up in 1955 and it came out with its report in the next year, which is 1956. It recommended that Hindi should start progressively replacing English in various functions of the government, with effective change taking place in 1965, the date which was already decided. Now, two of the members of this commission from West Bengal and Tamil Nadu were Professor Suniti Kumar Chatterjee and Paramsiva Subbarayan. Alright, what did they dissent to? They said that the members of the commission were suffering from a pro-Hindi bias, and therefore they asked for continuation of English in India even after 1965. Now, the commission's report was reviewed by a special joint parliamentary committee, JPC. To implement the recommendations of the committee, the president issued an order in April 1960, that is the presidential order, stating that after 1965, Hindi would be the principal official language, but English would continue as the associate official language, without any restriction being placed on its usage. Hindi would also become an alternative medium for the Union Public Service Commission examinations after some time, but for the present it would be introduced in examinations as a qualifying subject. This was the presidential order. In accordance with the President's directive, the central government took a series of steps to promote Hindi now. These included the setting up of the Central Hindi Directorate, publication of standard works in Hindi or in Hindi translation in various fields, compulsory training of central government employees in Hindi, and translation of major texts of law into Hindi and promotion of their use by the courts. Now, Nehru made it clear that an official language could not and would not be imposed on any region of the country, and that the pace of transition to Hindi would have to be determined keeping in view the wishes of the non-Hindi people. In this, he was supported by leaders of two parties, Praja Socialist Party and Communist Party of India. Now, the Praja Socialist Party criticized Hindi extremism and said it might severely strain the unity of a multilingual country like India. The highlight of Nehru's approach was a major statement he made in the parliament in 1959. This is a famous statement made by Nehru, and the statement was, "I would have English as an alternate language as long as the people require it, and I would leave the decision not to the Hindi knowing people but to the non-Hindi knowing people." He also told the people of the South that if they do not want to learn Hindi, let them not learn Hindi. This was a major assurance given by Nehru in the parliament in the year 1959. 8 years after the Official Languages Commission of 1955, we have the Official Languages Act of 1963. Now, the Official Languages Act of 1963 was passed by the Parliament of India to regulate the use of language for official purposes of the Union government after the Constitution's initial 15 years transition period ends, in which year? 1965. Now, according to Article 343 of the Constitution, Hindi in Devanagari script was declared as the official language of the Union, and English was to continue up till the year 1965. That is what was decided in the Indian Constitution of 1950. In pursuance of Nehru's assurances of 1959, remember, the Official Languages Act was passed in 1963. The object of the act was to remove a restriction which had been placed by the Constitution on the use of English after a certain date, which was 1965. So to remove this restriction, the Official Languages Act was passed. But the purpose was not fully served. Why? Because of the terms which were used in the Act. The Act laid down that the English language may continue to be used in addition to Hindi. The non-Hindi groups criticized the use of the word may and not the word shall. They believed word shall would have been better. This made the Act ambiguous in their eyes. They did not regard it as a statutory guarantee, and they were worried, what if Nehru dies? What will happen? And their fears came true. The death of Nehru in the year 1964 increased their apprehensions, as certain circulars were now being circulated by ministries to prepare the ground for the changeover to Hindi in the coming year. Now, what were the major provisions of the Official Languages Act? English would continue alongside Hindi for official work of the Union government even after 1965. Communication between the Union and non-Hindi speaking states would continue in English. Bills, acts, orders, rules and parliamentary documents, all these parliamentary proceedings would be published in both Hindi and English, could be. The Act reassured non-Hindi states like Tamil Nadu and others that Hindi would not be imposed on them. So these were the major provisions of the Official Languages Act of 1963, and it was later amended in the year 1967 during Indira Gandhi's regime. Now, due to strong anti-Hindi agitations, especially in Tamil Nadu, the Act was amended in the year 1967. And what did it guarantee? Indefinite continuation of English for official purposes. English and Hindi would both remain official working languages of the Union. So both English and Hindi would continue to remain the official languages of the Union. After the Official Languages Commission of 1955, the Official Languages Act of 1963 was passed. But what happened after the Act was passed? Because Nehru died in 1964. So you have a new Prime Minister now, who is Lal Bahadur Shastri. And it is said that he was unfortunately not sensitive enough to the opinion of non-Hindi groups. Instead of taking effective steps to counter their fears of Hindi becoming the sole official language of India, he declared that he was considering making Hindi an alternative medium in public services exams as well. This means that while non-Hindi speakers could complete the exam in English alone, Hindi speakers would now have the advantage of giving the exams either in Hindi or English. Many non-Hindi leaders in protests changed their line of approach to the problem of official language completely now. While previously they wanted a slowing down of the replacement of English, now they started demanding that there should be no deadline fixed for the changeover, that 1965 year should be removed. Some of the leaders went much further. The Dravida Munitra Kazhagam, which is DMK, and C. Rajagopalachari, for example, demanded that the constitution should be amended and that English should be made the official language of India. This was their demand now. In 1965, that is the year where English was supposed to fade away and Hindi was supposed to be the official language of India, what happened? On 26 Jan 1965, which is Republic Day of 1965, a fierce psychosis gripped the non-Hindi areas, especially Tamil Nadu, creating a strong anti-Hindi movement. On 17th January, what had DMK done? The DMK organized the Madras State Anti-Hindi Conference and gave a call for observing 26th Jan as the day of mourning. Why? Students concerned for their careers and apprehensive that they would be outstripped by Hindi speakers in the All India services were the most active in organizing a widespread agitation and mobilizing public opinion. They raised and popularized the slogan, Hindi never, English ever. They also demanded amendment of the constitution. The students' agitation soon developed into a statewide unrest. So strong was the anti-Hindi feeling that several Tamil youth, including 4 students, burned themselves to death in protest against the official language policy. 2 Tamil ministers, which is C. Subramaniam and Alaga Sen, they resigned from the Union cabinet. They were Congress ministers. Okay? The agitation continued for about 2 months, taking a toll of over 60 lives through police firings. The only eminent central leader to show concern for the agitation was Indira Gandhi, who was then the Minister of Information and Broadcasting. What did she do? At the height of the agitation, she flew to Madras and showed some sympathy for the agitators and thus became, after Nehru, the first northern leader to win the trust of the aggrieved Tamils as well as of the people of the South in general. Now, the last development. In the year 1966, Lal Bahadur Shastri dies, all right, and Indira Gandhi becomes the next Prime Minister. And she had already won the trust of the people of the South. They were convinced that now a genuine effort would be made to resolve the language problem. Despite facing various economic problems and the weakening of the Congress position in the parliament in the 1967 elections, Indira Gandhi does what? She moves a bill to amend the 1963 Official Languages Act in the same year, 1967. And she wins. It's 205 votes against 41 votes. The act gave an unambiguous legal fortification to Nehru's assurance of September 1959, which was, it provided that the use of English as an associate language, in addition to Hindi, for the official work at the center and for communication between the center and the non-Hindi states would continue as long as the non-Hindi states wanted it, giving them full veto powers on the question. So virtually what happened, an indefinite policy for bilingualism was adopted in India. The Parliament also adopted a policy resolution laying down that the public service examinations would be conducted in Hindi and English and in all the regional languages, with the proviso that the candidate would have additional knowledge of Hindi and English, Hindi or English. The states were to adopt a 3-language formula, which means in the non-Hindi areas, the mother tongue, which is Hindi, the mother tongue along with Hindi and English or some other national language will be taught in schools, while in Hindi areas, what will be taught? A non-Hindi language, preferably a southern language, along with Hindi and English will be taught. Okay. The government of India took another important step on the language question in the same year, 1967, which was, on the basis of the report of the Education Commission of 1966, it declared that Indian languages would ultimately become the medium of education in all subjects in the university level, at the university level, though the time frame for the changeover would be decided by each university to suit its convenience. So on this note, we finish our discussion on the politics of language in India and the tussle of which should be the official language of India. The next video, which is video number 3, is coming up soon, and it will deal with linguistic reorganization of states, which means organization of states in India on the grounds of language. Thank you.